Warning, incoming game over. Warning, incoming game over.
Well, hello everyone. Welcome in to an off-season edition of Game Over Toronto. This is the first time that we've streamed since Game 7, so good to be back, but also dark history. I don't want to revisit Game 7, man. We're here for free agency. July 1st is here, and it was kind of shockingly quiet because, well, like there's a lot of things to go. There were a lot of signings, a lot of bad signings that we are sure to go over. Very quiet day for the Toronto Maple Leafs, which I guess is fair considering how much news came out over the weekend. Obviously, the big ticket item of the day is Mitch Marner is gone, which we will spend a little bit more time on because it's the biggest story of the offseason, so we got to spend at least a little bit of time on it. We'll spend a little bit more time on the extensions, but of course, there's also videos on the Game Over Toronto channel already covering both the extensions and the Mitch Marner sign and trade to the Vegas Golden Knights. The Leafs get Nick Waugh on that deal. The Leafs did sign a bunch of depth forwards today: Michael Pezzetta, Travis Boyd, a couple AHLers, but yeah, a lot of nothing today. Brad Treliving already had his media availability. He told the media that the Leafs are still going to be active in looking for a top six forward. It just might be through a trade, which is interesting because I don't really know what they're going to trade, because if it's a top six forward, you would expect that it would cost some assets, but at the same time, they don't have assets. So then are they going to find a distressed asset? But then I was trying to play this like 8D chess of who could they possibly acquire that is simultaneously low in value but could be a top six forward for the Leafs. That's a whole rabbit hole that is not going to be productive. So today we will just talk about a lot of what happened around the league. We will start with the Leafs though. But we got to get into like what the LA Kings are doing, the big like Provorov deal, some of the Leafs depth guys signing with all their division rivals for some reason, Boston giving Tanner Jeannot how many years and how much money. There were a lot, and Mikael Granlund just signed like 20 minutes ago at the time, like we're streaming right now. He just signed for like $7 million per year with the Ducks. We expected that there was going to be some crazy contracts handed out today. I do think that it was maybe oversold a little bit. I'm not going to lie. I kind of feel like the contracts that have been given out aren't quite living up to the bonkers ridiculousness that was promised. But at the same time, there are a lot of guys getting way too much money. So again, we're going to start with the Leafs. We're going to do a little recap here. This is going to be a short version if you want longer details or longer videos on all of these guys. They are already on the Game Over Toronto channel. Go check them out after we're done streaming, of course. So number one, John Tavares, of course, as you know, has signed with the Toronto Maple Leafs 4 years, average annual value of $4.38 million. That deal has a no-move clause in the first 2 years and then a 5-team no-trade in the final 2, as well as $2 million in deferred salary. That brings the cap hit from 4.5 down to 4.38. And this was an absolute slam dunk of a deal, especially seeing what guys like Granlund are getting today. This is a sweetheart of a deal. If anyone didn't like Tavares for the money, there's no reason not to like him now. He might have to be the second line center this year by default, just because there's not really a whole lot of other options. But in the future, I expect him to slide nicely into that third line center role. I imagine that in the future, it'll be similar to like how Jordan Staal in Carolina has just been a very steady third line center. Is he the best in the world? No. But is he solid? Yes. That's what I expect for the later part of this deal for Tavares. For this year, I still expect him to be a 25 to 30 goal scorer, around 60 points, which for 4.38 million, yeah, you'll take that. So that's an absolute slam dunk of a deal. The next one, Matthew Knies. Now this one, I got to give the Leafs credit. They were sneaky with this one because we learned about it a couple of days ago. I posted the video, all that. And then it never got announced by the Leafs officially. And then we learned that they're extending a qualifying offer to Matthew Knies, which means, well, obviously, the deal isn't signed. So what was going on there? The Leafs were very strategically waiting to announce this deal for after the Marner trade went through so that they could give some bad news, but then give you a good dose of happiness afterwards. There was that really cool edit of Matthew Knies they posted on their social medias. So very strategic by the Leafs. That deal, 6 years, $7.75 million AAV. I said this in the video a couple of days ago. I think for this season, if we're just looking at right now, it's a bit of an overpay. I think he's probably a $6.5 to $7 million player right now. However, with the cap exploding and Nyes is going to keep getting better, that deal is going to age very nicely. I harkened back to the William Nylander extension, the first one, when he was making $6.9 million a year. That deal at the time was like, ooh, that's a bit rich for William Nylander. But then by the end of it, we were all looking at it like, wow, that is such an incredible deal. Like, I'm so happy they signed it. I imagine that's going to be what happens with Matthew Nyes too. I do think it's funny that he announced the extension. He's like, great, 6 more years, whatever. And then he had to delete that post because it wasn't official yet. So that was really funny. He also, Matthew Nyes was on TSN earlier today, and he just expressed, like, he was asked point blank, did he ever think about an offer sheet? Nope. Never even crossed his mind. Not that it would have, because he's not a good offer sheet candidate, but he, like, if anyone needs to hear this, Matthew Nyes is going to be a Leaf for as long as they are a competitive team. He's talked about over the last few days how much he loves the city of Toronto, how much he loves the spotlight, how much he loves the attention that fans give him, and how well they treat him, which Matthew Nyes is exactly the type of player that, Toronto rallies around, someone who's big and physical but still has a lot of skill as well. And he's our new puppy dog. He's the guy that is almost universally loved by this fan base. So I don't imagine that changes because this is a very reasonable deal. Happy that one got done. And then obviously the Leafs had a trade before the Mitch Marner trade went through. They traded for Matias Maccelli, which came out of absolutely nowhere. They traded a conditional third-round pick to the Utah Mammoth that can upgrade to a 2029 second if Maccelli scores 51 or more points and the Leafs make the playoffs. So I imagine the Leafs view Maccelli, who is a very good, skilled playmaking winger, as a top 6 option. We've talked a lot about how Nyes and Matthews could see Domi on their line in the fall. With the Maccelli acquisition, I wonder if Maccelli doesn't get a shot up there as well. Domi, I don't know if Domi is on the roster in the fall at this point. With the hope that the Leafs are going to sign a guy like Andrew Mangiapane, hopefully sometime soon, I don't know how Max Domi fits into this roster. We also have a lot of guys like David Kampf and Kellyanne Crook and Nick Robertson who seem to be on the way out, as well as the Leafs are looking to add some other depth options. Then, obviously, Mitch Marner. We can talk about it now. Mitch Marner traded 1-for-1 in a sign and trade for Nicolas Waugh. Waugh is a good third-line center option, good right-handed center, which the Leafs don't have. He probably will kill penalties, even though he hasn't done that a ton for the last few years. I view him as right-handed Scott Laughton. Mitch Marner, this is the story that Jonas Siegel put out today in The Athletic was scathing of Mitch Marner's camp. Not Marner himself, but just of Marner's camp and specifically his father. I don't want to get too much into it, but if you are subscribed to The Athletic, I recommend you go read it because it encompasses what the problem with Mitch Marner had become. It had nothing to do with him off the ice. It was entirely his camp and the people that he surrounds himself with that made life harder for him, because Marner didn't handle the criticism as well as someone like William Nylander did because Nylander used to be the whipping boy in Toronto, but he just shut up and took it. Marner couldn't take it as well, yet his camp continued to turn up the heat at every possible turn, and it was just not a good situation. The Leafs, the only reason they were trying to trade him in season was because they were afraid of losing him for nothing in a situation they created for themselves. So just a disaster, the ultimate lose-lose situation. But for Marner, I expect him to do well in Vegas, and I wish him well because it does suck that it didn't work out here. And I do still love him as a player. I just hate how it turned out, and obviously I hated what happened in the playoffs, but that's not exclusive to Marner, as I hated how everyone played in the playoffs because they kept losing. Then the Leafs had a few depth guys that they let go of. Now, first of all, Pontus Holmberg was an RFA. The Leafs did not extend a qualifying offer to him because they were afraid of his arbitration case getting him up near $2 million because he's played in the top 6 at times for the Leafs. He goes to Tampa Bay on a 2-year deal paying him $1.55 million per year, a little bit richer than the Leafs were willing to go. So good for Holmberg. I hope Tampa Bay enjoys the most aggressive, busy nothing player in the league. Alex Steves signed in Boston as well, and there was another guy, and Abruzzese, I think, signed in, was it Boston as well, or was that one Tampa as well? The Leafs had a few depth guys that went to their division rivals as well. So And then they also just announced a flurry of transactions just before I went live here. So we'll catch up. We'll see if there's any other news. Oh, look at that. Right here, Ryan McLeod, 1 minute ago, per Chris Johnston, signs a 4-year extension with the Sabres, carrying a $5 million AAV. The Penguins traded Alex Nedeljkovic to the San Jose Sharks for a third-round pick. Wow. But yeah, the Leafs, 30 minutes ago, they announced a flurry of signings. They have signed forwards Travis Boyd, Benoit Oliver Growl, Michael Pezzetta, and re-signed Dakota Mermis. Now, we knew that they were signing Pezzetta to a 1-year or 2-year deal worth league min. Travis Boyd also gets 1 year at league min, I believe. I'll confirm that. Pezzetta, he'll be a 13th, 14th forward that comes in, plays 30 games maybe, and is just going to hit a bunch of guys. He had 0 points last year, but I think he can give them some energy on the fourth line when they need it. If you're on a long road trip and the team's maybe slipping, you insert Pezzetta into the lineup, just get a little bit more energy for the depth. Grohl and Mermis both get 2-year contracts at $812 grand, $500. That $500 totally important. And Travis Boyd also gets a 1-year deal at league min. That's another 13th, 14th forward. Could be a very cheap David Kampf replacement if you need it. Same thing, like when someone gets hurt, Boyd can come in and play fourth line center for you. It never hurts to have more center options. So now we just wait to see what the Leafs are going to do from here. Brad Treliving again expressed that he is going to be active in the trade market. I don't know what's going to happen there, but the Leafs are also reportedly in on guys like Andrew Mangiapane, like I said, and Nikolai Ehlers. Ehlers isn't expected to sign today. He's not expected to sign until tomorrow. Who knows? Maybe a signing will drop out of the sky during the stream. That would be fun. But I don't expect it. I expect the Leafs will be active in the coming days. They will be a team. They've been very quiet, which is good because, as we'll get into, a lot of crazy contracts have been signed, and honestly, I don't think that I would have liked any of them for the Leafs, especially the depth guys. I talked about Tanner Jeannot or Brandon Tanev as good fourth line options, and they're being paid like legitimate third liners, so really don't like that for the Leafs. So let's start breaking down some of the moves around the league, and if any Leafs news drops for the rest of the stream, I'll obviously break it down, but this will be the conclusion of the first segment, and we'll just get into kind of a league-wide recap here. So we're just going to go through team by team, I guess, because I'm going to use the scores off-season tracker, and I'm going to stop at notable ones. So the Avalanche re-signed Parker Kelly to a 4-year deal. I think that was like 1.8 on the AAV. They really love signing fourth liners to really long deals as well for some reason. The Blackhawks trade a 6th-round pick to the Sabres for Sam Lafferty because they wanted him back for some reason. The Blue Jackets signing Isaac Lunderstrom to a 2-year deal. The Blues, real talk, I have no idea what the Blues were doing. They trade forward Zach Bolduc to the Montreal Canadiens for Logan Mailloux. Now, Habs fans wanted to get rid of Mailloux anyways for the off-ice character issues that he brings to the table. And Zach Bolduc is a legitimately good, scrappy forward that is going to be like a good third liner for them. I love this for the Habs. Mailloux has played like 8 games for the Habs, and I don't think with how the Habs defense is looking for both the present and the future, I really like them moving on from a defensive prospect and getting a forward that can help them now. Speaking of defensemen, obviously the Montreal Canadiens acquired Noah Dobson the other day in a deal that I really super hate for me because as someone who likes Noah Dobson a lot, they traded both their first rounders this year and Emil Heineman. Dobson signs an 8-year extension worth 9.5 on the average annual value. I'm surprised it was an 8-year deal. But Dobson, that's a sick deal because now I do worry about Dobson's point totals because obviously Lane Hudson is going to be on the first power play unit. But if Dobson is playing with Caden Gooley, that's a legit top pair. But if you play them against tougher competition, then you can play Hudson against secondary competition, which means Hudson is going to be even further set up for success going forward with the Habs. So I love that for them. The Florida Panthers, God, I hate them. They achieved the Bill Zito's his own version of "we can and we will." Sam Bennett signs an 8x8 extension, a little bit more money than Sam Bennett probably is worth, but after the Conn Smythe run, you kind of had to pay him that kind of money. This one really hurt me. Aaron Ekblad, 8 years, $6.1 million per year. This isn't even a state tax thing. Ekblad is just genuinely taking less money to stay in Florida because he wants to keep winning, which how can you blame him? And Brad Marchand signs an extension. It's a pinch under $6 million for 6 years. Now, people were up in arms about the 35 plus rule and how this is blatant cap circumvention. It's going to be a shocking development 3 years from now when Brad Marchand has suddenly got a career-ending injury and is on LTIR for the rest of his career. He's not playing out that contract, but he's also not going to retire until it's over. Otherwise, it would be cap circumvention. The Panthers would get dinged for that, and that's not going to happen. Another crazy extension, Ivan Provorov, a 7-year deal at $8.5 million per year. I don't know what Columbus is doing. To be honest, I really don't know what Columbus is doing. That one, that's just a weird one to me. The Vancouver Canucks, who were expected to lose Brock Besser, he re-signs at the last minute, 7-year. I think that was around $7.75 million too. Thatcher Demko stays 3 years, $8.5 million per. That one's a crazy deal based on his injury history. The Besser deal is actually not bad. The thing was that I think the Oilers were one of the teams that really wanted him. The Jets, I think, were inquiring. Instead, he stays for a little bit less money in Vancouver, and he gets that long-term security that he was after. Connor Garland signs a 6x6 extension with Vancouver. So, overall, just keeping all their talent in-house. They're still, they've got good age curves with them. Vancouver should be better next year. A lot of that revolves around Elias Pettersson, but this was kind of a theme throughout the days. A lot of teams wanted to keep as much familiarity. They wanted to keep their own guys because they were scared of overpaying on the open market. The Washington Capitals re-signed defenseman Martin Fehervy to a 7-year deal worth $6 million per year. That was another big extension that, I don't know, that compared to some of the other deals that got signed, that's fine. The New Jersey Devils, Jake Allen. I have no idea what Jake Allen's doing. 5-year deal, 1.8 on the cap. That is a crazy value as the cap is exploding. I guess Jake Allen wanted the security of the 5 years. But man, that's a real sweet deal for the Devils. But they counter that with a bad deal in overpaying Connor Brown, giving him 4 years, $3 million per. He reunites with Sheldon Keefe, who coached him in the AHL. And did he have Sheldon Keefe briefly? I don't think he ever had Sheldon Keefe when he was with the Leafs, but he has played for Sheldon Keefe before. The $3 million per year is a bit rich for me for Connor Brown. The 4 years is a bit too long for me based on what he brings, but I hope it works out because he is a really fun player, easy player to root for. The Ducks, as I mentioned a few minutes ago, Mikael Granlund, 3 years, $7 million per. There's no centers available. That's plain and simple. That's what's happening there. The Philadelphia Flyers, what are they doing? Christian Dvorak, 1 year, $5.4 million. Why? Just why would you do that to yourselves? Bad idea right away. And they signed Dan Vladar to be another goalie for them. 2 years, I think it was $3.55 million per. Also, why? Why would you do that? Vladar's at least a bit more worth it, but he's not that worth it. So I don't like what the Flyers have been doing today. Hurricanes signed Logan Stankoven to an 8-year deal, $6 million AAV. That should age pretty well. He's only 22 or 23, acquired in the Mikko Rantanen trade for the second one, that is. That should be a really good deal. He had a really strong playoffs. I know he's undersized, but he's super solid. The New York Islanders, they re-signed Tony DeAngelo because for some reason the NHL just refuses to kick him out. There's always a team that just is like, oh, we'll take Tony DeAngelo despite all the personality flaws, let's say, with him. And Jonathan Drouin, 2-year deal, $4 million AAV. That one's actually super solid. Really like Johnny Drouin getting a little bit of a payday there. He should help with Matt Barzell's point totals this year to, revitalize him a little bit. Then we get to the LA Kings. Now, Ken Holland being brought in, the message with the Kings is they needed to change, right? They needed some sort of overhaul. They've lost to the Oilers 4 years in a row. Something had to change, especially after they completely choked this year. They had the Oilers on the ropes and they blew it. Not too dissimilar from how the Leafs had the Panthers on the ropes. Yoel Armia, 2 years, 2.5 per year. Okay, that's a pretty good deal. That's a decent deal for Armia. Top 9 forward, 2.5 mil. Sure, that works. Cody Ceci, 4 years, 4.5 million per. I hate that. I absolutely despise that. Cody Ceci is like the best defenseman at failing upwards I've ever seen in the NHL. He's bad. He's legitimately bad. But teams every year line up to pay him for whatever reason. That's a horrible deal. I hate that. Brian Dumoulin, 3 years, 4 million per. It's a more expensive version of Joel Edmondson, who they already have making too much money for too long. I don't like that one either. Anton Forsberg, 2 years. I think it was 2.25 mil per. That one's fine. You get a backup goalie, sure, that's fine. Forsberg's a good goalie. And then Corey Perry, 1 year deal worth up to 4 million. I mean, they need to overhaul the vibes, so sure, but I really, really hate what the Kings are doing on defense. You've got 3.8 for Edmondson, you've got 4 to Dumoulin, 4.5. You've got way too much money tied up in 3 third pair defensemen. You're paying like over $10 million for 3 third pair defensemen. That's not good. It's just not good, man. I have no idea what was going through Ken Holland's head when he signed these deals. I don't know. Like, you guys can let me know what you think of these deals if I'm crazy, but I really, really, really hate that. The Seattle Kraken, they signed Ryan Lindgren to a 4-year deal. I think that was $4.5 million as well. The Utah Mammoth, they signed Nate Schmidt to a 3-year deal. I think that was 3.5 per. Good for Nate Schmidt. He gets a Stanley Cup on a $800K contract, and now he cashes in a little bit. Sure. Brendan Tanev, this is the guy I wanted the Leafs to look at. He gets a 3-year deal at 7.5 total, 2.5 per year. I hate that. I hate the value on that. I hate the term on that. Tanev's a 4th liner, and he's a good 4th liner. He's not worth 2.5 mil. So have fun, Utah. They signed Vitek Vanacek as well. The Oilers, they have been also quiet like the Leafs, which honestly is a good thing because Stan Bowman probably would have done something really stupid if he was going to sign someone today. But they do get out from under the Victor Arvidsson deal. They trade him to the Bruins for a 5th-round pick, no salary retained, so they can just get rid of that, no questions asked. And there's the money that they needed to pay Evan Bouchard, and now they can sign the rest of the team. They can sign a few depth guys as well. What else? The Predators signed Nick Perbix to a 2-year deal, $2.75 million. That's not bad. I mean, Perbix is a good right-handed puck mover. The New York Rangers, I need to get some confirmation on what this trade ended up looking like. But the New York Rangers signed Gavrikov to a 7-year deal, $7 million per. I was upset because Gavrikov was the one that I was like, if someone's going to make a really stupid decision, I wanted Gavrikov to get like $9 million per year. I really wanted him to, but the aftermath of this is the Rangers traded Keandre Miller to the Carolina Hurricanes. Do we still not know what he was traded for? We still don't know. But 25 years old, he can play top pair minutes. He's a legit good top 4 defenseman if you want to be like critical. 25 years old, RFA, so he needs a new contract, but the Hurricanes have so much cap space that they can afford it. I really don't know what the Rangers are doing. I don't know what they're doing. Yeah, man, it's brutal. We still don't know the return though, eh? Oh, it's okay. It hasn't gone through because the Canes and Miller are working on an extension before it goes through. Elliot Friedman reporting that the Hurricanes were looking to offer Sheet Miller, but the two teams worked out a trade instead. The return is going to be along the lines of what offer sheet compensation would look like. So probably a first and a third? Probably? Something around there. Maybe it'll be like a first and a fourth because they're trading instead. I don't know. I have no idea. But that's also a bit of a weird one. That the Rangers would do that. The Rangers are just doing things, man. They're just doing things. What else we got? The Sharks re-signed William Eklund to a 3-year deal. It was 5 point something per year. It was in the mid fives. Doesn't kick in for another year. That's going to be a super solid deal as Eklund and the Sharks continue to grow. If I'm the Sharks, I wish I had gotten more term, but oh well, it's not that big of a deal. Like, that's fine. And is there any other big signings that happened today? So that is, I think, the recap. I think that's a good recap of the craziness that's happened today. Let's turn over to our third segment here, where we are going to now look at who is remaining. So let me pull up the best remaining NHL free agents. I'm sure Daily Faceoff or someone has it. ESPN? Okay, great. Oh, never mind, not ESPN. Has this been updated? Okay, great. Nope, it hasn't been updated. Never mind. That's ahead of free agency. Please tell me someone has a rolling list that's being updated. Damn it. NHL.com isn't... Okay, maybe The Athletic has one. Does The Athletic have one? No, I don't need the latest. I just want a big board. Dude, I literally just want a big board. There we go. Never mind. I'm still not subscribed to The Athletic. I thought it would be free. Okay, you know what? Whatever. We don't need a big board. We know the big one is Nikolai Ehlers. That's all. That's the big one. And we know Andrew Mangiapane is out there. Actually, I could just look at a list and see who's still available, actually. Let's do that. So, get your ads out of here. So Nikolai Ehlers is still available. Dmitry Orlov is still available. Pius Suter, that's another big one. He is going to get the bag because there's no centers left. Anthony Beauvillier, Matt Grzelcyk. Man, this list gets real thin real fast. Victor Olofsson, he could be a decent scorer for someone. I'm sure of it. Yeah, man. Oh, this list is getting brutal. I'm not going to lie. I really don't want the Leafs to get to... Like, if Ehlers is going to cost too much, stay out. You could sign Mangiapane, sure. That list is depressing of remaining free agents. That is not good. Woof. Man, the free agency has been so weird this year, man, because there really wasn't that much out there to begin with. But now that there's even less remaining, there's just nothing for teams to be... And they're going to spend. You know that someone is going to spend. Nikolai Ehlers might get $10 million at this point. Like, I expect that Ehlers contract to be ridiculous. The Mangiapane contract, I hope if the Leafs are the ones that sign it, obviously I hope it stays low, but he might creep into the mid-fours at this point. And Pius Suter, people were talking about Pius Suter getting $5 million per year. Could that number hit 6? Could Suter get 6 years on the open market? I don't know, man. Or did he resign already? I actually don't know. Maybe I should maybe I should look. There's been so much that I haven't seen. I know there was talks of him staying, but did he end up signing? Yeah, no, he hasn't signed. So yeah, that's going to be a crazy contract too. Oh man. So the latest, we haven't gotten a ton of news lately. Okay, never mind. Elliot Friedman reporting right now. The sign and trade from the Rangers to the Hurricanes. The Keandre Miller deal, 8 years, $60 million total. and let's do some quick math, 7.5 per year for Keandre Miller. 8 years, 7.5 per year for a 25-year-old defenseman. That is a great piece of it. This could be a really tidy piece of business by Carolina. This could be a really tidy piece of business because like they had guys like Brent Burns and Dmitry Orlov on their decor. They needed to get younger. This is how you do it. So you've got Slavin, who's one of the best defensive defensemen in the league, and you've got Keandre Miller on your second pair now. The Hurricanes' left side is real solid, man. That's real solid. The Hurricanes, they keep getting better. The Hurricanes are the best at finding Hurricanes-ass players that are just going to help them drive possession and play defense. Like, are they the most physical in the world? No. Are they super solid at what they do? Yes. Like Keandre Miller, that is a Carolina Hurricanes-ass player. Wow. Oh, speaking of players that fit their team perfectly, I didn't even mention the Tanner Jeannot deal. The Boston Bruins signed Tanner Jeannot to 5 years, $3.5 million. That is ridiculous. That is insane. I wanted Tanner Jeannot if he was like under $2 million for like a 1 or 2 year deal, you know, just to get something for the depth for a fourth line. But yeah, way too many years. Way too much money. I know that he scored 20 goals and 40 points once upon a time. He is not a $3.5 million player. So Boston, I mean, look, the physicality aspect, yeah, that fits for Boston. But woof, but hey, to be fair to Boston, at least they aren't Tampa, because Tampa traded a whole draft class for him. What else do we got? Oh, I should mention this actually. Oh, dang it. Justin Brazeau signed with the Penguins. Kyle Dubas, stop taking my stuff. I wanted Brazeau. I'm not going to lie. I wanted Brazeau. He would have been a fun fourth line option. Kyle Dubas keeps taking my stuff. 2 years, 1.5 per for Brazeau. Dang it. That would have been fun. Lorentz, Lawton or blank fourth line center, Brazeau. That would have been a fun fourth line. Dang it. That's annoying, man. It's annoying. Oh well. I'm just waiting to see what the trade acquisition cost. I know people are freaking out over the money that the Hurricanes are giving Keandre Miller. Man, I'm telling you, 8 years from now, that probably looks really solid. Like, again, it's the same thing as the Nyes deal. Right now, that seems like an overpay, and it is. Long term, if he develops, that could be a real solid deal. That could be a real... It could also be bad, but oh well. While I wait on some other news, should mention, on the TSN broadcast, this happened. Bob McKenzie, who has, for the last 5 years, kind of been in this pseudo-retirement where he's retired, but he's also still doing stuff every now and again, appearing on a few Leafs broadcasts per year, doing the World Juniors, and then showing up for free agency. He announced today, this is it. He's done. He's going to be fully retired now. He's going to officially close this chapter of his life. So I do want to say, shout out to Bob McKenzie, man. One of the best in the business still to this day. All, like, the insiders nowadays are all over the place with their personalities and their loyalties and what they actually, whatever. Bob McKenzie was always a gem. He's always been, like, revered as one of the best guys in the business. So for TSN, sucks that they're losing such a great guy, but good for him. What a career he's had. And yeah, man, wish him the best in retirement. Shout out Bob McKenzie, the GOAT insider. I don't know if anyone will be, but he's pushing 70 years old. Damn, he's been doing this way too long. Good for him, though, man. Good for him. Oh, boy. Now, oh, boy. Now, I don't want to get anyone excited. And I don't have this confirmed. Supposedly, Elliot Friedman said that the Leafs are sizing up for a run at Jason Robertson. Oh my goodness. Is that real? I'm going to see. I need someone to tell me right now if Elliot Friedman said that. Are the Leafs going to do something big here? There's no way. There's no way. That would be crazy. That would be crazy, man. I know that the Leafs kind of are scrambling because they didn't get Marchand, and they really wanted Marchand. But that would be quite the pivot to Jason Robertson. Oh boy. Let's see. Where's the rumor mill? I need the rumor mill to Okay, hold on. I got a buddy who's telling me. Mentioned in passing. Okay, so probably not a real thing. Dang it, that would have been fun. That would have been so fun. Could you imagine just a Frege bomb out of nowhere? They'll just an ultra competitive. Oh, they'll be ultra competitive for a top 6 winger. Oh well. Who else is even available? I don't even know, man. But yeah, that's kind of where we're at with free agency. It's been a bit of a quiet day. A lot of business has been taken care of before July 1st. And then a couple of teams went crazy with the deals, like the Kings, the Flyers gave out a lot of money. The Rangers are doing things. But not a lot on the Leafs front. So I mean, we've gone 40 minutes, which I'm actually kind of impressed with. But not a lot on the Leafs front that we haven't covered already. So what's probably going to happen here is I will come back later in the week, days to come as signings happen. I'll just make videos on the Game Over Toronto channel. So, I mean, there's 10 of you in here right now, so make sure to like and subscribe to Game Over Toronto. If you have any questions about what the Leafs are going to do, like, feel free to drop them now. Like, I'll stay live for a couple more minutes and hang out with you guys. So if you've got questions, drop them in the chat. I'm just going to keep checking Twitter here, basically, because I don't know. The thing is, you never know. Never know when something's going to drop. Ugh, seeing all these Marner 93 sweaters is painful. Is painful. I'm not going to lie. Not great. I do think Marner's going to do great. By the way, Alex Pietrangelo, what was the thing that he... it was like some sort of hip thing that's like... He's like a struggle to walk. If that's true, man, that's crazy. Like, that's just insane. Yeah, everyone's just reposting their Marner stories now, thanking Bob McKenzie, because that's kind of where we're at. Like, a lot of the business has died down today. So, yeah, the only UFA goalies without a contract now, Georgiev, Samsonov, and Reimer. Oh yeah, what are the Oilers gonna do, man? What is Edmonton going to do? Dude, the Oilers are in such a tricky spot because they have to do something. They have to go for it. They have to acquire a goalie. They have to do whatever they can to win because you have to convince McDavid to extend. Now, as a Leaf fan, please do nothing. That'd be funny because I really want McDavid to not extend just on the 1% chance that he leaves Edmonton. I think he's going to stay. But if he didn't, there is a team where he's from that wears blue and white. That would be a fit. Just saying. Just throwing it out there. But I don't think that... I'm not going to get anyone riled up. He's going to stay he's going to stay at Edmonton, man. He's probably going to stay at Edmonton just on a short deal. I guess the only other piece of business is who the Leafs are going to get rid of now. So Calle Yarncroke, David Kampf are the easy ones. But so Kampf, they've been actively shopping. Now that all the centers are gone, someone will take him for free. Yarncroke, is more likely to stay, but I still probably put it at like 30% he stays. I think someone will give a 4th round pick for him. He's only 2.1 mil. Bonuses have been paid, so he's very little on the actual dollars front. Yeah, what else do we got? Oh, and Nick Robertson, he's an RFA. Could make, like, I think his contract is probably right around 1 mil, 1.2 mil or something. If he stays, if he goes, it would be really funny if they kept him and got his brother. Now I got excited about that idea, man. I got excited. Do we still not know what the official extension is? No. Seems like, okay, I do want to talk about this quickly. What on earth is going on with Rasmus Andersson? He only wants to sign an extension with Vegas. So the Flames are kind of handicapped here. They can either trade him to Vegas for less than he's worth, or they trade him somewhere else for less than he's worth because the acquiring team would know that they're not going to get an extension with him. At this point, very good right-handed defenseman, good puck mover, makes $4.5 million per year. That's a very reasonable amount. I think the Flames are going to have to hold out to the deadline because the deadline is when the prices will spike again. So even though he'll be a rental, I don't know, man. I don't know. But yeah, I'll do one last scan of Twitter before we wrap. I don't think we've got anything, though. Again, I think most of the business has been taken care of for the day. We might get a late night. I swear to God, we're going to get some Leafs news like 5 minutes after I get off of live. But, yeah. All right, well, thank you all for joining me on this evening of free agency on July 1st. Again, make sure to like and subscribe to Game Over Toronto and be on the lookout for any more content coming out later in the week as the Leafs continue to make moves because they weren't very active today, which means something is coming down the pipe at some point. And whenever that happens, I'll be sure to make a video. So, yeah, I'll see you guys then. Cheers.